In this video, I'm discussing the most profitable recruiting business models in 2022. Be sure to stay tuned until the end so you can find out which model I would personally recommend for beginners. Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Natasha, the business recruiter. Welcome back to my channel. There are many avenues that you can take when you're exploring which recruiting business models you want to adopt as a brand new recruiting agency owner. I'm going to discuss 4 popular models that are out there, but keep in mind there are so many variations. However, not all of them are necessarily the best for beginners. Now, the first model we're going to discuss is a retained search model. Now, if you're good at what you do in terms of being a recruiter, then this is actually a pretty good model. Essentially, you're working on a retainer in a similar manner that a lawyer would. You'll receive a fee up front, let's say $5,000, once a contract is actually signed and in place. You'll then start the search and let's say you receive another $5,000 once you've actually narrowed your list to a small amount of qualified candidates. Now, once your candidates pass the interview process and then are officially placed into the company, let's say you will receive another $5,000. So in total, you earn $15,000 for that placement. However, there are downsides to this model. If you're not able to actually place a candidate, you may be required to pay the money back. Skill and a great deal of expertise is definitely required in order to execute this model effectively, so for that reason, I would not recommend it for beginners. Now, the second model is going to be an MPC or most placeable candidate business model. And this is a really interesting approach. If you have a great eye for actually identifying top quality talent, this can be a pretty lucrative route. Essentially, you as a recruiter find a top candidate that's out there and looking for a new opportunity. And this happens before you even have a contract in place. You then market that candidate to companies that are in search of that skill set that your top candidate possesses. However, the downside to this is that you really do have to be good at identifying top talent. And I know everybody thinks that they can identify great talent. However, as a beginner, there's still a lot of things that you're learning. And let's be honest that learning curve can be pretty high, contingent on your niche. And you want to be protective of yourself as well as your company and your brand when you're thinking about presenting yourself to clients. Essentially, you want to make sure that you offer the best first impression. Let's say that you send over a candidate who you believe is an MPC, and after you send over that candidate, the company reviews that candidate's qualifications and they're not aligned to the fact that the candidate is actually an MPC. The company may then think that you're just out there to make money or that you're inexperienced. And it's possible that they may choose not to work with you again. You want to understand that in the recruiting industry, your reputation is everything, and word of mouth travels so quickly, meaning that you can become known in the industry as a company or brand that doesn't present the best candidate or is simply money hungry. So for those reasons, I also do not recommend this model to beginners. Now, if you are still with me and loving the content so far, then be sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button as well as that bell so that you can get notified of all of my new videos that drop each week. Now, the third model is going to be contract staffing. And contract or temp staffing basically focuses on you placing candidates for shorter periods of time. And sometimes there are opportunities for those temp or contract candidates to convert to full-time employees for the companies that they're actually contracting for. However, until they're actually considered to be an employee for that company that they're contracting for, they are essentially your employee. That means that you're responsible for paying them, which means that there has to be a payroll system in place. You also have to ensure that you have the appropriate protections in place, such as workers' compensation, in case the employee gets injured on the job. This means that it's going to require significant upfront capital in order to operate this business model. And if you're someone who's just starting out and maybe a little bit short on cash in terms of what you can actually invest in your business at this time, then I would stay clear of this model, at least in the beginning. Now, finally, the model that I recommend for all beginners is contingency staffing or direct hire placements. I love this model for beginners because essentially it's the easiest way for you to get your foot in the door in terms of the recruiting industry. Once you have a client, you are responsible for filling their requisitions. And in order to do that, your startup costs for the most part are actually pretty minimal. You also get the full experience of what it means to actually be a recruiter. This is considered to be the most traditional model in the recruiting industry, and that's because it's so easy to execute. You can take on as many or as few contracts as you want, meaning that your income potential is limitless, and essentially it's just as lucrative as the other business models that I discussed prior. Now, the only downside, because we do have to talk about downsides, is the fact that this is considered to be a no strings attached approach, meaning that a client can choose to not move forward with a particular requisition at any point throughout the process, which ultimately means that you will not get paid. And this can suck, especially if you've already invested your time, money, and energy into executing that search. However, making sure that you have multiple contracts and multiple clients that you're working with at one time can help to combat some of that. So if you're just starting out, then I highly recommend that you go with this business model. It's going to be the easiest way for you to not only learn the industry, but to also get paid. And don't forget that execution of a business model is only as strong as the contract that you have in place. So if you're looking for a contract to get started, then look no further. I got you. Take a look at the link below in my description box so that you can download my free contract. And if you're interested in learning more about recruiting, then be sure to join my Facebook group. I'll also leave that link down below in the description box as well. We are in there talking all things recruiting. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.